Hello everyone, SmugPug here, and in this video I'll be going over some tips and best practices that have helped me at becoming a better trapper, and hopefully assist you at improving at playing Caustic in Apex Legends as well. Alright then, let's get into it. I will be going over 3 topics: general trap placement, a couple door blocking strategies, including one that I don't often see being utilized, and using Caustic and his traps out in the open. Oh boy. The nuance of knowing every pinpoint location on the maps for where to exactly place your traps would just be excessive. Rather, I simply want to give some tips and tricks that have helped me while playing. But first, as a refresher, I'll quickly go over a few pieces that I talked about in my previous video that we need to make sure that we are still doing. Leaving traps behind you as you move around the map. This can be crucial in preventing you from being ambushed, as the triggered trap and gas damage displays a hit marker for you, signaling where players are in the environment and where they are moving through. Placing your traps so that their gas distance intersects with one another, covering a larger area. And also baiting people to come to you. Placing traps in corners or at the sides of a room can help with this, as this could increase the likelihood of pushing your opponents into them. I've also worked out that the gas radius is about 5 meters in diameter in game, going off of the ping distance and indicators within sniper scopes, and seeing just how far the gas extends out from above. Also try to make sure that your traps are not easily spotted or completely obvious. Here's a list of examples of places to consider setting up your traps. The edge or corner of walls, a pretty obvious one here for hiding traps behind. Behind crates, this is similar to walls, they are flat edges and completely block side of the traps. Behind rocks, really comes in handy when you're leaving traps behind you. In bushes, a lot of potential for hiding your traps here, or even behind trees, which can help with concealing your traps just enough. Cars, these act as another great obstacle for leaving traps behind while moving around the map. Covering windows, this is just handy for giving a little extra cover while shooting out of a window. Next to the bottom of a staircase, and at the top of some staircases, it really depends on which direction you expect people to be moving through for these ones. Hidden at the end of a zip line or elevator shaft, and this is another great solution to help keep tabs of where someone is. Now when it comes to blast doors, considering that there's a decent range for opening blast doors, I usually find it more helpful to place my traps to the side. Keeping them to the side and just out of sight tends to be a little bit more reliable option. Placing them directly in front can certainly work though. It just feels like a 50-50 as to whether or not it'll be most effective. Next up, I'll be going over a few different door blocking strategies, but I am curious to know what your favorite spots are for hiding or placing traps. So leave a comment with your preferred spots or tactics that have helped you. But anyway, let's continue on to blocking doors with your traps and controlling where your opponents can and can't go is probably one of my favorite things about playing Caustic. But it's important that you do it well and just not recklessly. You have a couple different options when it comes to blocking doors as Caustic, including my personal favorite one, which I will get to, and I have listed them from easiest to hardest. So to start, you have blocking single and double doors entirely. This is probably the easiest and simplest tactic and what you are probably already doing. It is quick, it's effective, and can totally screw over your teammates if misused, but it can slow your enemies down just long enough by making them have to break through the door if they want to get to you. Next, there is blocking half of a double door. Also pretty common as it easily allows for a both defensive and offensive turnaround. Especially if you have someone actively following you, it's pretty solid and won't screw up actually trying to make use of the door. Okay, now probably my favorite strategy is to partially block a single door. Now this one might not seem all that impressive from the get-go, and honestly it might even look like a mistake, but let me tell you, I don't encounter it very often. It's really versatile as it gives you defensive play, allows you to nicely bait opponents, and still lets you enter and exit a room if done correctly. It'll require examining the space in front of the door, so it's probably the slowest one to perform. This is difficult even for me to do consistently. If there's one of those little crosses in front of the door, that can sort of act as a guide for where your trap should go here. There are a few additional blocks as well, such as slightly blocking the edge of a single and double door so that it opens slightly. I don't usually come across other Caustic players doing this. By blocking just enough of the door, it can open slightly, allowing you to shoot through the crack if it's opened. The gas will also seep out to hopefully push people back while leaving the door intact. You also can technically lock people in rooms. I wasn't sure if I should include this one. It's an uncommon occurrence as it's kind of reliant on luck. There aren't that many rooms or buildings on the maps built with only a single exit, thus making it the hardest to pull off, but it's a pretty powerful maneuver if the situation presents itself to you, so if you see it, definitely take advantage of it. It can be a little tricky with the amount of precision required for some of these blocks, but it's certainly worth trying out for yourself if you haven't already. Now the part I'm sure you've all been waiting for, and that is using Caustic out in the open. Yeah, don't do that. But seriously, reconsider. I love Caustic, but I would be lying to you if I didn't admit to getting a bit uncomfortable having to travel long distances through an open field, or realizing that final ring is out in the middle of nowhere without even as much as a random care package for cover. Caustic works best when you are in or around some sort of structure or building to help hide your traps with obstacles, but sometimes you will need to make the best out of a bad situation. And when it arises, you can technically use your traps out in the open as cover. It may be unreliable, but traps can be used to block bullets, and it can certainly work in a pinch. Throwing your traps in the direction where you are being shot at will most likely result in your traps being destroyed right away, or even being shot out of the air and thus being wasted. If you say change directions and toss them in front of where you're wanting to go, you can decrease the chance of them being destroyed before you even get the opportunity to reach them. I would also say it's important to throw your traps in a line or some sort of tight formation in front of you when you are trying to pull off any kind of open trap placement, and to at least shoot one of them so that it sticks around. I do also want to add in, you can use your traps to defend yourself or teammates while they are being revived. I do typically try to do this anytime that I'm going to revive someone, or if somebody else on my team is going for a revive, I would try to trap around them to make sure that they have at least a little something to go off of. They're not completely exposed. Trees can come in handy as well, for if you trap around a tree or a rock out in the open, they can sort of serve as creating your own mini barrier by placing them next to each other. They're not as solid as a rampart barrier, but it's better than nothing. Your Nox grenade could also assist in obscuring you and your traps out in the open as well, so if you're being forced to jump out in the open, starting with your ult could work in your favor. Understanding Caustic's kit isn't terribly confusing, but it helps to take the time to improve on your trap placement and getting an understanding of how to best make use of your options. This will surely lead to you becoming a better trapper and give you the edge in battle. Just continue to practice and improve on these techniques. If you enjoyed the video, found it to be helpful, remember to leave it a like, and let me know what you find to be most helpful for yourself when playing Caustic. But until next time, I'll catch y'all later.